Baseball. The word itself sounds like summer, it sounds like hope, it sounds like home. For well over a century, it has been more than just a game in America. It is a mirror reflecting who we are. It is a story passed from one generation to the next. A story of heroes and of ordinary people. It is a constant in a world that is always changing. Think of the shared memories, a father teaching his child to throw a ball, the cheer of a crowd on a warm evening, the smell of freshly cut grass in a ballpark. These small moments link us together. They connect us to our past and to each other. Baseball is a language spoken across different backgrounds. It speaks of community and of belonging. The game we love today had simple beginnings. It was born in the 1800s, a time of great growth for America. This is the story of how that game came to be. Baseball did not simply appear out of thin air. Like many great American things, its roots stretch across the ocean. For centuries, people in Europe played games with bats and balls. These were folk games played in villages and fields. They had different names and different rules, but the basic idea was there: hit a ball, then run. English games like rounders and cricket were very popular. When colonists sailed to America, they brought these games with them. They played them in the new towns and settlements. These games were a reminder of home. They were also a source of recreation in a hard new world. Children played them in schoolyards. Adults played them on holidays. These old games were the seeds of something new. In America, these games began to change. People adapted them to their own liking. Different towns had their own versions. Some called it town ball, others called it baseball. As these early forms of baseball grew more popular, a need arose. People wanted to play between different towns or clubs. But how could they, if everyone played by different rules? It became clear that the game needed some order. It needed a common set of guidelines. This was the moment when dedicated individuals stepped forward. They were the first architects of modern baseball. One of the most important groups was the Knickerbocker Club of New York. They were formed in 1842, a social club for young men. In 1845, a committee from this club, perhaps led by Alexander Cartwright, did something vital. They wrote down a set of rules for playing baseball. These were not the very first rules ever written, but the Knickerbocker rules became very influential. They played their games at Elysian Fields in Hoboken, New Jersey. The Knickerbocker rules introduced some key ideas. They established the diamond-shaped infield. Foul lines were defined, creating fair and foul territory. The Knickerbocker rules were a great beginning, but as more baseball clubs formed, more agreement was needed. The game was spreading quickly now. In 1857, something important happened. Several clubs from New York and Brooklyn met. They formed the National Association of Baseball Players. This was the first organized league. It aimed to standardize the rules for all its member clubs. This convention was a milestone in baseball history. The rules they agreed upon were still different from today's game. For example, pitchers had to throw the ball underhand. The batter could even tell the pitcher where they wanted the ball. Imagine that today. It was a very different style of play. Games were often decided when one team scored 21 aces or runs. The number of innings was not fixed at 9 until later. The ball itself was often made by the players. It could be softer or harder, bigger or smaller. The game was still finding its perfect form. Over the following decades, the rules kept changing. Overhand pitching was eventually allowed, which changed the game a lot. The Civil War from 1861 to 1865 had a surprising effect on baseball. Soldiers from different parts of the country played the game in their camps. It was a way to pass the long hours, a distraction from the horrors of war. When the war ended, these soldiers returned home. They took their love of baseball with them. This helped spread the game to all corners of the nation. It became a shared experience, a common bond. In a country healing from division, baseball offered a sense of unity. What was it about this game that so captivated people? It was a game that could be played almost anywhere, in a city park, a cow pasture, or a specially built field. It was a game for everyone. Working men played it after long shifts in factories. Schoolboys played it in their spare time. It offered skill, strategy, and thrilling moments. It fostered teamwork and friendly competition. It was a simple game, but it held a deep appeal. Soon, baseball began to be called America's pastime. Professional teams and leagues started to form. Great players emerged, becoming local and national heroes.